what are the cybersecurity, information security options we have in Army?
Folks who are close to cyber IT in the military are in pretty easy. They're about 6 months.
Is it possible? Can you just share your
Yeah.
roadmap here, which can be a blueprint for the, which can be inspirational blueprint for the people? Okay, huh? We can see this kind of a case study, and everything is possible.
I think the first interview I gave, and I was very, very confident in terms of I wasn't CISS credits. I think it was before. I went to, there was a designated place they were, doing the interview video call wise, and then.
Hi team, welcome to my session on Coffee with Prabh, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Arun. Being a transition from Indian Airforce to the cybersecurity in the corporate world, it's a big thing, and Arun is a perfect example of that, about his dedication, hard work, what he did, and today he basically working as a product lead for Microsoft. Today we're going to learn about his journey, how he did the transition from the Airforce to the cybersecurity, which is normally I have seen a lot of people are doing the trend, but make sure what is the rules, what are the roadblocks, all those things we're going to cover in this session. So Arun sir, welcome to the session on Coffee with Prabh.
Thank you so much, Prabh. I think I equally admire your work. As early as when we got connected around 2016, 17,
16, yeah.
16, 17, and the contributions that you have made to the industry. I think there's no one I can look up to in terms of cybersecurity training. I would just to start this off. I think if somebody comes to me all this while I have known you, I blindly say, okay, if you're aiming for a certification, especially CISSP, Prabh is my go-to person.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And that basically motivates me to make this conversation more useful now. So, but that's basically called as a one of the motivation factor, and it motivates me to make more content on this particular area now.
Yeah.
And so, like when it comes to the one thing I like about your journey is that you had a couple of experience on the in the Indian Air Force, and then you moved to corporate world where you was talking as working as security consultant, then CISO, and now you are working as a product lead in security in Microsoft. So today I was very excited about this journey and all that. And how do you started all these things?
Yeah, I think I'll set some ground for my background itself.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is not like something people have done it uniquely or somebody else cannot do. I was always an average student. Yeah, but I think I was born and brought up in Delhi. I did my schooling from here. Pretty average student. We were three brothers.
Oh, what is average?
I think you'll have to go back to my mark sheet. I don't want to go back to that average. You have somebody who scores, somewhere around 70s, you see, not the high flying 90s, as they say. Yeah. So, and after that, I went back to one of my friend, and then we thought, what do we do now, right? I mean, a lot of people in my class are attempting JEE, AIEEE, and all of that. And I haven't even filled the forms. What do we do? He said, okay, let's join something and then let's try and prepare, take a gap year and so. In about 1.5 months, we did realize that probably this may not work out. The motivation levels, we have to keep at it, maintain it, sustain it. And then we thought, okay, let's look at things. And then there was some education fair we went in Calcutta Stadium. We got to, came across an institute in Rajasthan. So I did my engineering from Rajasthan IT, Rajasthan University. And while we were graduating, that's the year of recession, if you remember, 2007-8. Precisely, 8 was like the peak. It started with 7. So on 8, I did get a couple of offers from companies like Wipro and L&T and Partner Computers. But then there was a pool campus that the Air Force was doing.
Okay.
So yeah, it still does. It's just in a region wise they do a pool campus. and then look out for engineering folks. So we did the engineering knowledge test then. For my college, I think a total of three people were selected. Three, I
Wow.
mean, two ladies and then one me. All in all, in that area, about 5,000 plus people attempted. There were about 55 who got through, and
Okay.
then followed by that, there was this SSB
Hmm.
that was held in various SSBs across India. That's how I went into Air Force. I thought, why let's just join this instead of others because the offer letters are not, are not coming as such. So I mean, that was not, I mean, entirely a reason that I chose Air Force, but I thought I think going into the Air Force will be a different world altogether as compared to the corporate stint. I filled it up.
There is a one sudden question around, is was your dream to work in Air Force? Because एक होता ना कि we had a childhood dream. When
Yeah.
I see the plane or when I see the rockets or when I see aircrafts and all that, I want to be in Air Force.
So I would,
But in your case,
you know,
कुछ नहीं है, चलो ठीक है, I will give this entrance and ये मैं मान ही नहीं सकता सर, मतलब difficult to digest, मतलब
and
today
I,
I have seen a lot of people doing a lot of hard work, getting a
yeah,
job in army and all that,
yeah.
and you suddenly saying, oh ठीक है ये नहीं हो, चलो यही मैं करता हूँ, तो
No. It was. I don't. It wasn't like ये नहीं है तो
हाँ,
ये करते हैं. I
हाँ,
was like, I mean, the place where we stay in Delhi is very close to Delhi camp, right?
हम्म,
And then I think that's the background I kind of missed. Uh, Starting from my great grandfather and grandfather, they were all in the army. It's
okay,
just my father's generation who was not. And then I was very close to all that area, and I could see the trucks moving, the military people moving here and there, and then it is very also close to Palam Air Force Base,
हम्म,
and we would go and see planes flying there in childhood. So it was, I wouldn't say like I was aiming to for it, but then it sort of uh, created a full circle for me in that sense that
हम्म,
okay, let's try this as well because it's a good profession. Uh,
हम्म,
it is a chance to give it back to the country, right?
yeah, I agree,
Give something back to the country, contribute in that sense. So I went there, and things started happening, and one after the other, exams and interviews and SSB and medical all got through, and that's how I landed up. And then
wow,
I did cherish it. Initially, I thought it is for 5 years when I failed the
हम्म,
short service commission officer, but when I reached academy, I got to know this for 10 years. But then I said, okay, now I've signed up. Let it be. And then I and between 2008 to 2018, that is where my Air Force tenure lies.
हम्म,
Throughout the tenure, because I was very close to information technology, computer science.
हम्म,
I get to choose or probably uh, got the stream of which is Air Force Net, the the backbone of all the Air Force communication that is there.
हम्म,
Eventually, in my first posting, I was, in fact, the unit was tasked to create a information warfare training center, something
okay,
around basic information warfare. So I was tasked there. I did create that in about 2.5 years.
हम्म,
We trained about 500 plus people there.
हम्म,
Looking at the work and my personal circumstances, I was posted to another unit, network and security operations center,
okay,
and I sort of this whole skill got more, uh, how do I put it? I mean, it got more finesse as I went to that posting,
हम्म,
and eventually it piqued my interest. Though it was primarily the unit was around telecom, 3G services. So both 3G services and cybersecurity went hand in hand. And by the end of it, by the end of the tenure itself, 2018, I was very sure that I will pick up cybersecurity as a profession as I'm transitioning.
हम्म.
Yeah, that's the whole, I think, in a nutshell, my background as to how I landed up in cybersecurity.
And my next question will be around how can you're talking about your transitions. from Air Force to the cybersecurity and all that. Uh, if you talk about other veterans, okay, now you already worked on a network, you were in IT and all that. There's a lot of people who are from a non-IT background. I cannot say non-IT, but they are into telecom. The army has their own military signals and all that. They have their own equipments and all that, and some are non from non-IT, and now they are also want to make a career in cybersecurity. So before we jump into transition, I want to understand what are the different cybersecurity options or information security options we have in the army or air force or navy, whatever. Yeah, there will be some common practice, right, which we be follow. So
Yeah.
what is your expertise on that? Can you just guide on that, because there will be a lot of people who watching this podcast. They are from a non-army background, or
Mhm.
might be some students are watching this video and might be they are planning to join a army. So what are the cyber security, information security options we have in army or air force and navy?
Uh, I think I'll divide this question into multiple parts, and
Hmm.
actually it's going to be a little longer one, and then stay with me.
Hmm.
So first off, while you join, you know, you don't get a form to choose your stream. First of all, right?
Hmm.
In all the three courses, right? They take you as an engineer,
Hmm.
right? For army, it is probably signals, EME, and a lot of other
Hmm.
streams. The Air Force, there are primarily two streams: aeronautical engineer, electronics, and aeronautical engineer,
Hmm.
mechanical. For Navy, it is a different ball game altogether around executive officers and then engineering officers, all of that, and that this whole subject of transition is exclusive of what what you will get while you get into military, right? Because
Hmm.
this getting into military and then getting cybersecurity or IT, again, I think a deep subject. It is not like straight away you go and then you say, okay, hey
Hmm.
guys, I'm very good in computer and IT. Why don't you give me your most precious operations center to handle? So it
Hmm.
doesn't happen like that. Primarily, whatever the primary branches that I've told already for Army Navy, of course, it's there. And as you work through and you demonstrate your interest and your outcomes
Hmm.
for these branches, within these branches, because uh, people that come into these branches, then only they diversify and specialize in computer and IT within the military.
Okay.
Um, so if you are a student or somebody looking to work in cyber in the military, uh, highly likely you may get to work, but then it's not it's not a formula saying if you do this you will end up in cyber
Hmm.
in which, okay, it's primarily when you go through your training, your probably stream choices, you go to your first unit, you show your interest, and respective of the primary job,
Hmm.
whatever you've been given to do, you do it well, and then show the other interests. The military has a way to identify that,
Hmm.
right? And they then accordingly make ways for you to contribute to their cybersecurity. Right?
Okay.
That is one. Now, the second part is probably whoever is in very close to computers and IT and cyber in the military. This particular industry is a natural tilt for them
Hmm.
to transition,
Hmm.
right? Natural liking for them to transition. I think I'll focus on where you said if there are folks who are in military and not into cyber and
Hmm.
probably want to transition.
Hmm.
Uh, First off, I think I would want to probably I will offend a lot of people with this, but then this is the new glamour
Yeah, I
uh,
agree.
to say okay, this particular field, and you see there are so many reports out there in the media saying there is a skill shortage in cybersecurity, right? Rightly so, but that doesn't translate for you to take it upon you and say okay, I'll complete the skill shortage. So
Hmm.
assess, play to your strengths is what I'm saying. Not saying that you cannot transition to cybersecurity. By all means, everybody can. Uh, but you see, the corporate world moves at a faster pace in terms of commercial applications as compared to military, where our applications are not so commercial, but then our task of the day, the order of the day is way different than a commercial corporate setup. So look at what you have done already, and then even if it doesn't match uh, anywhere close to cyber and IT, I think give yourself about 1.5 to 2 years to transition smoothly. You know, just before, let's say you're retiring in December 2025, probably a year and a half before is a good time to start
Hmm.
preparation and transition. Um, and this is not a rule book, right? This is not a rule book. Like you can do very well in 6 months. You give yourself 6 months and then push towards it. You will very well be able to do it, but that will take a toll.
Hmm.
You might as well, swim on the surface and then pass through. You might as well end up in the job, which is cyber, and you can do that. But I would say a smoother and better and a gripping transition would be to give it about 1.5 to 2 years before retiring. That will be my first advice. Uh, for folks who are close to cyber IT in the military, I think pretty easy. Give about 6 months, uh, sharpening the concepts, trying out things because it has multiple verticals, multiple domains that could excite you or bore you, right? So pick the one that is like gives you the maximum job satisfaction. Yeah.
And it's a very good statement you said about cyber is a new glamour, and I completely agree on that part, and that's the reason I want to do this podcast, because the person who already have experienced this transition and all that, he can tell us better. So uh, Arun sir, like my point here is that how can other veterans can make a transition to cyber? Okay, you said perhaps 6 months to 1 year it will take, no doubt. Can I say like this way? If you're good with something, not cyber, if you're good with something, continue that also. It's a good thing. You joining cyber because of glamour, or you joining cyber because Arun is making money or Prabh is making money. So I think if I move to cyber, I will make money. So it's not necessary that like, cyber is the only option we have for the veterans. Uh, they can basically go for something else, or what they're doing right now. They can do better in that. If
Yeah.
someone is good with programmings and all that, and tomorrow he want to work on an application architect side, he can work on that side. But
Yeah.
leaving the application architect, moving to security just for a sake, people are going there and it's a great demand. I think it won't be justified, because after some point in time you get exhausted.
Yeah. You're making a very you know good point there. But I'll start with saying, okay, a lot of people already use it. If you worship goddess Saraswati, goddess Lakshmi will follow, right? It's not like X is making a lot of money. He probably would
Hmm.
have worshipped goddess Saraswati
Hmm.
long back.
Hmm.
And I connect this the way you said, okay, if you're already good at something,
Hmm.
right, sharpen that skill, right? Take a job when take a job in the strength that you have, right? And even before that, I would say, okay, there's one strength that you are very good at. You probably do your own SWOT analysis,
Hmm.
but I think even there's even one thing which is even more important than doing SWOT analysis is to find your being, then look for your belonging, right? And that is how your job satisfaction will come. So here's something I think I have a matrix on. I'm not sure how people will benefit, but I see opportunities in market in these three, in this fashion.
Okay.
First, I say that uh, the opportunities is around doing what you were doing already in military.
Hmm.
Say, consider military as business, and you are looking around, looking after the cybersecurity and IT for the particular business do the same job outside. There's not there might be difference in technology and the the fast pace at which corporate works. That will just take you some time to ramp up, right? And which is fine, just fine. I mean, the basics don't change, right? So whatever you were doing, just apply it back to corporate and pick that job. That is the first opportunity I say. It is there in various companies. You say, for example, say any consumer business, uh, right? Uh, for example, let's say, and I'm naming like Make My Trip or Flipkart. Their primary or their core business is air transportation, or say, logistics and e-commerce, but they do have a cybersecurity vertical. So if you were looking at cybersecurity in military, there is direct opportunity here that you could join and look at that. Right. That's the first part.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, continue.
Yeah. The second portion is what I say is, and it has an overlap, but then I the second category for me is all the consulting services, right? Consulting businesses, starting from big three, uh, uh, you know, McKinsey, Bain, BCG, and the big four, KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, EY, and then also all these other giants in consulting like TCS, Infosys, a lot of others. They also have an opportunity. There also lies an opportunity for veterans to join as a consultant. Right? That's what my probably first job was. The third piece is what I say, is companies that actually make products. Right, you join them as a developer, software engineer. You're very good at, like you said, if you're very good at already programming, why are you exploring something else? Why not use that programming to contribute to a cybersecurity product? Right? Being a developer or senior software engineer in product companies or a product manager in these companies is what I will say is the third opportunity. Right? So and there, stay with me, because these are the three categories I've put in, but there could be more, but I'm trying to simplify it for folks. Now when you pick up cybersecurity itself, and if you go by CISSP, there are 8 domains. I'll try to put this in 3 main domains, right? And everything else will follow. The first domain I say is, the focus is on security operations, right?
Okay.
Which is, you will have your security operations center. You can count even threat intelligence, malware reverse engineering, detection engineering, all of it into SOC. So if you're good at even DFIR, I mean, some SOCs also have digital forensics and all of that within their vertical. So if you're anywhere close to these verticals, security operations is probably the domain you should pick up, right? And there could be pros and cons in this vertical as well. Some would say, okay, this is a high performing, high intensity job, and I would probably not look at it. It's totally personal. I mean, to each his own, right? The second sort of domain that I say is, the core of it revolves around governance, risk, and compliance, right? Everything around internal audits, external audits, risk spanning across financial, operational risk, and all of that. You can bundle all of it and put it under GRC, right? There could be finer details to governance, risk, and compliance vertical, but I think largely, if you have done unit audits, surprise audits, cybersecurity audits, information warfare audits, managed a unit around with tools around governance, and manage the risk of the unit in terms of cyber. I think this is a domain that you could pick up, right?
Okay.
There's this third domain, which is, I would club it with being an architect, uh, primarily around engineering a system or developing the product, right? These are domains wherein you said, okay, I know there are products in the market. I'm not a direct contributor to those products. I'm not a developer, not a product manager, but I know all of these, multitude of products. How do they work together, right? I can architect a solution for an upcoming company with say 50 number of employees or say 50,000 number of employees. So as you go along and you try to engineer these solutions for them, enable them, by all means, this is a work of a consultant, but this is a domain that you could pick and then look at services companies to join them. So I think this probably my rough matrix is 3 by 3 matrix that I see, where opportunities lie and what are the domains that veterans can pick up straight away. I have not said CISO as a domain. I mean, that's like I should say, a step up ladder as you get into cyber, as you go along. Look at other opportunities, skill yourself up to be in the CISO role, and then finally probably at some place graduate to, depending on the company where you are, graduate to a CIO role and something. I think that's not a domain or a something like that, but it's like a career milestone, if you could put it like that, right?
But Arun sir, if I ask your transition, how was your transition? Like, you were in a Air Force, and then your first job was consulting within, and after some period of time, you become a CISO. So, is it possible? Can you just share your
Yeah.
roadmap here, which can be a blueprint for the, which can be inspirational blueprint for the people? Okay, huh? We can see this kind of a case study, and everything is possible.
Uh, I think, yeah, I can cover that. Probably I see my journey is a lot of spiral. I've gone
Hmm.
to different places and then I'm here at the current
Hmm.
role. I
Hmm.
think while I was transitioning, the first, and this is, I mean, it's not a real success story as in there's so
Hmm.
many people doing very, very well in the market out there. But I think the first interview I gave, and I was very, very confident in terms of I was already, no, I wasn't CISSP. I think it was before.
Hmm.
I went to, there was a designated place they were, doing the interview video call wise. And I do not, feel ashamed to say that through the interview, about say 15, 20 minutes in the interview, while I was doing well answering questions, there was this particular query that he, you know, threw at me around, and it was an unknown territory especially for military people. So he said, okay, uh, think about a social media policy,
Hmm.
right? Uh, just walk me through it and then tell me how will you do it on a firewall, right? And if people who are very close to military guys, they know that we are not supposed to be interact on social media while we are serving and all of that. So the nuances of the trade itself, being on social media and what could we not prevent, did
Hmm.
not click right away in the interview to me. Right? So I could not, I did say, okay, it could pose a different threat to you. It could tarnish your brand image while people will post bad about you. Internal employees, you want to create a policy for them. This is how you could, do X, Y, Z. And on firewall, you could go and, list all of the social media URLs and then put it in a deny rule, all of that. But I don't think my answer was up to the mark. And that is why I did not, succeed at an interview. So it's fine to fail, but fail fast is what I would say, as early as possible, so that while you go through interviews uh, and land up a job. But
Hmm.
then, even where you succeed, and I'll tie it up to what I say: find your being and then your belonging.
Hmm.
So even when you succeed, it is not mandatory for you to pick up that job,
Hmm.
right? There were options, like I did not want to really align to a GRC, that time probably I was
Hmm.
very high on security operations. So I said, no, GRC, I will probably look at it later on. I did
Hmm.
deny that while
Hmm.
getting selected. So the first job I picked up was with Tata Advanced Systems. I was a consultant.
Hmm.
That too, not in the permanent role. I was like off
But
role
but how
consultant
you
for
got the
that.
first job?
Uh,
Because I received a lot of query regarding Prab.
Yeah,
I am a veteran and I completed like it's my transition period, and no one is, because when it comes to CV, when it comes to you're working in the
yeah,
corporate world and all that, it is easy to create a CV with your achievements and
yeah,
all that.
yeah,
But when it comes to army, with the Air Force, Navy, there are some confidentiality we need to maintain. You cannot
yeah.
document that in a, because your CV is not a classified information. Sorry,
That's right.
classified document. In that you cannot
Yeah,
mention the, sorry, you cannot mention the
that's right.
classified data in that. So
That's right.
how you balance that, privacy, secrecy, and functionality.
I think the so I'll come back to how I got my first job, and I think this is a very important point that we should
Yeah.
address on CV itself.
Yeah.
I still get DMs from civilian people saying, okay, look at this particular veteran. He's given so much information on LinkedIn itself. It could tell a lot about what he was working on.
Hmm.
That's one part of the story. I think probably one out of 100 case. But I think the best guys to tell and still hide a lot of information are the military people. They're very trained to speak little and do not, and then they will not divulge any information in that
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
But for sure, I would say if because it's a very big step to transition into corporate. And while you write all of it, prepare a 7-8 page CV, right?
Hmm.
Write every known detail to you, not and keeping confidentiality and secrecy in mind, write everything, and then carve out resumes out of it. Now, I
Hmm.
would not say just carving out resume and sending it out to random people on LinkedIn and applying on websites will work. For me, what worked was, I think, this plain old simple, at least for the first job, I think I took a Naukri.com subscription then,
Hmm.
right? I took resume services as well. While I created my resume, it was very good in my opinion. I think the resume services also helped me.
Hmm.
I also spoke to uh, veterans over there in market, right? Some of them, I mean, they they're already a busy lot, so you
Hmm.
have to chase them, and then ask for one glance on their resume, and probably they would find. But in the last, let's say, 6 7 years, what I've observed is there's a good amount of people who know how to tailor a military resume to corporate resume. Like
Hmm.
people on LinkedIn as well, they're doing a very very good job in that sense, right? So I think take services. It will not cost a bomb to you. Probably it cost about 6 7 thousand for me at that time. The
Hmm.
monthly services and the resume services were separate. But I would say take some services. So my first call itself was from my profile on Naukri.
Oh,
So
okay.
it works, and people will say, "Oh, it doesn't work today." But I think with the right services and you're highlighting your profile, your experience, and the
Hmm.
way you've done your work, portrayed it on your CV and resume, with all that, it does surface up nicely. There are other platforms, not to mention, like, I mean, there's so many other good platforms. I've mentioned Naukri because it worked for me. For some, Indeed may work. Some Monster might work for them, or just plain LinkedIn DM might work for them, right? So, and now it's a very, and I could go on and on this. I mean, it's a very good
I'm
question
making a
to probably.
points because that is my next video content.
it
Thank you.
could uh, it could really work for a lot of people, and you are getting a lot of DMs, and I do get people reach out to me and
Hmm.
then say,
Hmm.
okay, how do we do? So here's something I there's a formula that I tell. It's not a rule book, and you could do your own thing as well. But I say, okay, eh, let us say there are 5 domains in your area,
Hmm.
right, wherever you want to get your job. So
Hmm.
not specifically cybersecurity, but anything. So there are 5 domains, and then you think that you are a subject matter expert in the current state of matter. Start writing about it on LinkedIn, right? Say uh, at least two posts a week or one post a week
Hmm.
should give you visibility. And if you cannot even post regularly, let us say engage with people in your area, their
Hmm.
own content, their post, their comments. Develop that habit of engaging online, right?
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be some rocket science that you will, post it on online, and you will use you'll say some wizardy thing in the comment. You'll say everybody will say, okay, here he is, and
Hmm.
here she is going to rock the world. Not of that. It's just plain simple conversations in your domain area, your own point of view, right? Uh, and it could be already known to people. It's just that you can convey it better,
Hmm.
right? So I
Agree.
would say engage in that way. Post comment like that. Uh, I would also say that the second I give the second there's a second point that I give it to them is look at the conferences happening in and around your area.
Hmm.
Uh,
Very good
if it
point.
requires you to travel about travel a weekend type of area, right? You could go and attend the conference. Now these conferences, there are so many industry conferences already happening, and every area, it's like every industry, it's not only cyber. You pick up AI, there are so many AI conclaves happening. You pick up physical security, there are organizations working for physical security, right? All of that. So join them. And now this is the follow-up third point I say. You join these conferences, paid, free, whatever, online, offline, whatever, just to join them.
Hmm.
Have your business card with you, right? And then folks will say, "What will I write?" And you could just simply say your name, number, your LinkedIn, and what your specialization area and all of that. Right?
Hmm.
That is enough. That's also a business card. It doesn't have to be a fancy title in a company, right? If you're not working anywhere, this could be just your simple business card. And now be very careful to whom you are giving. Don't waste them. Give
Hmm.
it to people who matter. Give it to people whom you are interested to talk to, continuing the relationship further on. And I think that is where the hidden job market is, right? Apart from all the portals, everything, jobs is like they germinate in your network. So
No, the
if
time is
you,
gone where you will get a job call and get it done because there's
yeah,
already competition in the market. Correct me if I'm wrong.
that is right. That is right. So I would say jobs they thrive within networks
Hmm.
in your industry. If you utilize your network wealth,
Hmm.
it will turn out to become your net worth, right? So I think that's the final point I say to them. Apart from all of the written rule book, it's out there. Okay, you're transitioning, read about this, join this, take these services, take resume services, do everything right. But this, I think, networking world is where you should spend the most time.
And how you handle the first interview? Like, okay, your CV got selected, you got the job, but um, some people basically hide some stuff. They simply say yes to everything. So, what was your attitude?
I think, I mean, it is again it's a very tricky question, Pro. I think to each his own. I would say, I mean, there are people who say fake it till you make it, right? There are people who say
देखा
it's
जाएगा.
dekha jayega and all of that. But I would say, I mean, play to your strength is what I think, without even taking it. Uh, let's say 8 domains in an industry, you're good in 2 domains.
Hmm.
Say it outrightly. Say not we are not superhumans, and nobody is there to remember everything. And probably the job that you're going to do, it'll be afresh, probably in the same industry, but
Hmm.
the work that you are going to pick up is might be way different than what you've done in military. So like load up on your strengths, and then in the interview go with your this calm confidence that everyone carries
Hmm.
from military, and then you just deliver on it. I think that will work better off than saying yes to everything. And that brings me to an important point, which says, sometimes every JD that comes your way, be it GRC, be it security operations and other verticals, you start applying. That's the first filter you need to put in your mind,
Hmm.
like your own being, and then find your belonging. So filter what you want to pick up in these domains. You want to be in GRC, security operations, architect roles, consultant, engineering roles.
Hmm.
All of that stems from the fact, and that is what you should bring into your resumes, which is carved out from your CV. Right, the CV will contain all the domains,
Hmm.
but your resume will be very specific to where you're applying.
But as I said, human does mistakes. So
Yeah.
while doing these transitions, what not to do? Like you did that, and it was see. We learn from our time.
Yeah,
We learn from our past. So make sure you should not repeat in a present or future.
correct,
So anything you
correct,
believed, okay, Prab, we should avoid these mistakes because time is money.
correct.
So what is your perspective on that?
Lot of things, lot of things. And it does not, confine to cybersecurity.
Hmm.
I would say people when they transition, most of us do pre-release courses in one of the management institute.
Hmm.
The whole batch itself takes up, and people will get offended, but I'll have to say it. The whole batch goes and does this Six Sigma courses. I also did, right?
Hmm.
I would say today, if you're not aligned to the field, do not do it. It's just a waste of money, right?
Hmm.
And then there will be people who are saying, okay, कर लेते हैं, कुछ सीख जाएंगे, कुछ मिल जाएगा, something you will get out of it. No, sir. You might get something out of it. You might learn something new, but you might never uh, get a chance to use it in the job that you're trying to get, right? You
Hmm.
might not get that is one. So I've said, do not do a load of certification, do not waste your money. Time is money, and then money is also precious, right? So talk to a mentor, right?
Hmm.
And there are so many out there.
Arun. I think you conducting some session. You planning to drive one webinar where you're basically going to share the transition things and all that. If possible, in this, can you just explain that also? I think that can be very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll will what we will do is I do two webinars every
Mm-hmm.
alternate month. One is around how to transition into product management,
Mm-hmm.
and then and this is only for military veterans, right? And
Okay.
how do you transition to cybersecurity? So I'll put those links below,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can go from there. So I mean, coming back to doing what not to do, is like one is like be very clear on what certification you want to pick up apart from your pre-release course. Do not do certifications because everybody else is doing that. I sometimes, and I've done it. I sometimes feel we sometimes do these mistakes the way we did mistakes. Like I did mistakes when I was in 12th standard. Like everybody is going to engineering, I'll go to engineering, right? That's how. I would say be very careful of picking certifications.
Mm-hmm.
Even within cybersecurity, if you start doing a particular certification, that may not line up with the vertical you're choosing. So if you do digital forensics and then land up in GRC,
Mm-hmm.
it may help a little, but it's not entirely. It is not the armor that you need right at that moment. Right? Probably a ISO 27001 is a good starting point.
Yeah.
Right? The whole certification scenario, I would say be very careful in choosing and spending money. That is one, right? Then again, I mean, people who are there in the market, veteran, your seniors, or a lot of other people that you're, especially veterans, if you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
reach out with a motive, right? Reach out with an action item. You don't, I feel that people say, okay, here's my resume. Can you find a job for me? Uh, sorry, sir, sorry, ma'am, I cannot find a job for you. You'll have
Exactly.
to probably say, let's say you want to get a referral in my company. I think you should do this much. Find the job ID, job number, and then attach your resume. A quick 2-3 lines that I can write about you while referring. Right. I do not know every one of you. There are people in my 0th circle and first degree circle and then 6th degree circle. So I am very and like me, there are so many others. They are willing to refer, but enable us while we are trying to refer you. Don't disable us. So if you expect us to do an additional work because there are multiple requests, I think on average on a weekend I set aside time to refer people about 10-15 referrals
Mm-hmm.
every week. uh, so if I start searching the job for you and saying, okay, this profile matches your experience well, it will not scale for me. I might do it for one or two people,
True.
right? But it will not scale for me. So enable this. That's the second thing. I did the same mistake with a
Mm-hmm.
couple of them, and now I realize a couple of them I did just randomly reached out. and then trouble them. So I'd say this is what you should not do. Right. This is the second part. The third part is, I feel a lot of veterans, when they try to get a job, sometimes they, put the remuneration part on the back seat. I wouldn't do that. You have value, demand that value,
Hmm.
right? Command that value. If you're very good in the domain, then do not shy away from asking for it, right? Be reasonable. Be with the industry trends. You can talk to a lot of people what is like the market trend and market sentiment. Don't be overboard, but then don't just surrender. And that's what I did in my first job. I said, okay, I do not worry about my package probably. I would really want to contribute. You will contribute. There is no doubt about it. But then for sure, ask for what your value is. Do not
Hmm.
shy away. That's the third part I would say. The fourth is when you land in the job, and that's where I'll end. When you land in the job, the first day or whatever, take 90 seconds to assess. Okay. You're not the Avenger that they have hired. You're not the superhuman that they've hired. Everybody in the team has a role, job. Do not overstep, right?
Agree.
And do not correct people, right? And do not correct in the sense, do not correct in the sense that you think, okay, you could do it better. Whatever he is doing or she is doing, he's probably in the same domain for the last 5 or 6 years, and there is some, uh, you know, what do you say, experience behind it, the due diligence and due care behind it, that is whatever he or she is, taking up. So I would say, and in this fourth point, I will tie up another thing. Say, leave the rank baggage aside, right?
Ego.
The I
Kind
wouldn't
of,
say
kind.
ego. Yeah,
मतलब
yeah.
होता है थोड़ा सा.
Again, to each his
Those who
own.
watching, not, I'm not saying that, but I myself
Yeah,
experience कि
correct.
कभी कभी मैं गाइड कर रहा था, आई जस्ट गाइडिंग, मैंने लाइक प्रभ ओके आई एम अ कमांडर सो आई नो
Yeah.
अबाउट दिस, मैंने ठीक है सर, मतलब आप
Mm,
सही हो.
yeah. Yeah.
No, that
By
is
all
attitude, that's
means,
attitude, in positive attitude, करना
yeah.
है ना करना, हाँ, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So by all means, a lot of things might be known to you,
Hmm.
but whoever you are working with in corporate may not know. They might be alien to the whole military world, right?
Hmm.
The rank and the responsibilities and the work you do.
Hmm.
Uh, you will get a chance to explain all of that, but I think the corporate respects the work before, and then you proving yourself, and then they will
Hmm.
start respecting and, leaning on you for leadership and advice and mentorship and all of that. But before that, I think the whole corporate world, unwritten, without saying it out loud, the world says, okay, uh, thank you for your service. You've done very, very well. Now you're here. Let us see what we can do together.
Hmm.
Let's get it done. So let's. When we tick this box first, all of the boxes, they will follow. That's my, I think, four part things to saying what not to do. So,
सर एक एक पॉइंट मैं आपसे, सो आई वांट टू आस्क यू वन इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट इज दैट
yeah,
some attitude we carry in the army because it demands,
yeah.
and some of the discipline, some of the pointers, characteristics what you carry in the army, do we need to still follow in the corporate? Like one example is
I think,
discipline.
yeah. So a lot of people will, by default, say discipline. Discipline is
Hmm.
definitely a thing.
Hmm.
But I think there's a slight nuance to the word discipline itself, right?
Hmm.
The way the military operates, and enforces, so to say,
Hmm.
discipline is through clear instructions,
Hmm.
clear guidance,
Hmm.
legally binded rules, Airforce
Hmm.
Act, Army Act, all of that,
Hmm.
instructions, the hierarchical system that you are there,
Hmm.
you're placed under somebody, and there are people placed under you, and you're
Hmm.
bound by whatever the oath you are
Hmm.
taking,
Hmm.
right? That also instills discipline. That
Hmm.
becomes way of life. But over time, this has to translate into self-discipline, right?
Hmm.
So imagine without any rules, without any regulations, without somebody telling me you have to get up at this time and then run about 5 kilometers and then do your daily work. How can I instill that in me is what self-discipline should carry to the corporate. It will help you in the work as well, right?
Hmm.
The second thing is like, I mean, very, very important. Discipline is one thing, and the second thing that I think you should carry and military people do carry is the integrity that they come with, right? Uh, I think if you can lose discipline for a day or two, but do not lose integrity even for
Hmm.
a second, right? So people will, uh, you know, keep you in high pedestal when you have high integrity. So I think discipline and integrity is one thing, two things, and then the third and final I would say, and it really I think the whole problem that you are trying to address, the whole job satisfaction angle on the work that you are doing right now, all of it ties up to your own belonging to the field,
Hmm.
right? Uh, if you're not feeling belonged in the current setup, I'm not saying this is not like allegiance to the company, allegiance to anybody in the hierarchy. I think the whole problem that you picked up, let's say you're responsible for detection engineering. If you love the problem, you will all of it like job satisfaction will come from it. Um, Everything that you do there, you getting it done, all of it will come from there. Figure out that first,
Okay.
and that is what you should carry from the military. Because in the military, when we pick up a task, I mean, then we put our heart and soul, right, and we get it done. These are the three things I think we should just stick to and do not dilute anything out of it.
Understood. And the reason I basically asked this question is because if you see, the military is is like a very good supportive evidence for you for some jobs. Like I've seen Wells Fargo and all that. Um, they hire from the experience of veterans because they believe that they have a discipline, they are serious about the job and all that. So in I have seen in Wells Fargo, and
Yeah.
that's why when they announce some kind of an openings, also they mention that okay, military veterans can basically apply for this job. So Arun sir, like my second last question I want to ask you, it's a very interesting question. Is I came from the network background
Hmm.
or infrastructure background. But because of 2025 AI came, do I need to do programming? Like the learning what I had in last 20 year in army, okay, do I need to do a lot of unlearning, or what should be my right advice? Like, can I look for the job which is with a similar kind of a thing like network security, SOC and all that, or shall I start from completely scratch, like learning AI, ML, then programming, then cyber?
I
What
think
is your
I've
recommendation
spoken
here?
to my. It's not like I mean I'm not the final authority for recommendation, but here's what I've spoken to few people. They were in certain set of responsibilities in the military, but they had a very strong interest around AI, ML programming, and all
Hmm.
of that. So they
Hmm.
continued it along the way. And
Hmm.
while they were transitioning, they went into AI, ML, and programming.
Hmm.
That may not be the case with everyone. So I would again reiterate whatever you were doing, uh, and it is your strength, find the job there. Right? Do
Hmm.
not try and start from scratch because you see, compare yourself with somebody who's in programming for the last 10, 12 years
Hmm.
and in the corporate, and they have evolved with changing technologies,
Hmm.
right? They are abreast of all the upcoming things,
Hmm.
which we may not like unless you were like very active in the civil world in terms of forums and all.
Hmm.
It will become an uphill task to do. It's not like not doable. You will be able to do it, but why to take an uphill task which will take longer time, and
Hmm.
then you will get end up in a job. I think the other way would be to play to your strength, get the job that you are closest to, and then explore your interest,
Okay.
right? Say you get into infrastructure or say designing data centers. You
Hmm.
got certified as well. Now you're in the job, but now you think you're gonna know this one is I think I am good at it, but I'm not enjoying it. Programming is something I will enjoy, or say network security is what I will enjoy. I will lean towards generative AI, agentic AI workflows. Start reading about it. Try to transition. Then this is the second transition. Try to transition within the company in those roles, right? And given how global companies, bigger conglomerates, they encourage people moving from department to department, and
Understood.
that's what I know. That's what I have heard and known from people, that there is a decent amount of encouragement when you try and explore new things, and broaden your skill set. Uh, yeah, it is encouraged. I would
Okay.
say take that route. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are the future opportunities we can see, for the veterans who are into cyber? According to 25, what is your recommendation?
I I haven't. I mean, it's a question that I was taken aback, but I think research areas, if I would see, is primarily around language models, right? There is a new concept of concept model as well. Then there is, I think, adversarial AI is one area which will come up, because today we are focusing on enabling the uh, administrative side of the defensive side of cybersecurity. The same tools, components, abilities, capabilities are available to adversary, and that is one area of research that should come up. I haven't read enough, but I think these three are the research areas. The opportunities, as in forward-looking jobs, um, there's a high push on automating mundane tasks, right? So if I mean you would recollect. So when I was 16, 17, I was reading about cybersecurity and prepping and transitioning. There's a big wave saying, okay, SIEM is dead, and SOAR, like security orchestration, automation, and response, will take over, right? And it will automate 40 to 50% of triage activities, mundane tasks
Yep.
that
Yep.
level one analysts do.
Yeah. It might take the level one jobs also, because
Yeah,
basic activities can be done by them. Yeah.
correct. So I think that world was primarily looking at past data, and setting up some if else rules, right? Say for example, I'm just trying to be a little technical here. Say you found a compromised device, isolate it from the network. Like that's a simple task. You found a compromised device, there's a virus running there. Isolate from the network. This could be automated, right? That's what SOAR wanted to do in some, in broad sense that I'm trying to take a stab at. But say it's the same thing today with AI and agentic workflows. We will try to automate these things, but with self-learning capabilities. Grouping similar sort of work and then trying out a decision. So these are things that you should be abreast of. You should know. You should know, and then prepare yourself for future job opportunities. Wherever you are today, look at what could be, in the earlier world, what could be automated through SOAR or any other automation. What could agentic AI and generative AI workflows bring in, and where is that human angle that I can fit in, right? And test it through. Don't think it in mind, and just test it through. Because you see, we may say that creative jobs to some extent will also be taken by AI workflows and agent. But in the human in the loop on these creative, or let me say, on these things which involves decision making, will fall to a high performing, high intellectual human, right? So 100 decisions the agentic AI takes. And even in the automation world, there is this fully automated, semi-automated, manual task. So when it is semi-automated, there's a decision that is taken by a human. So figure out yourself, like, if this is the amount of work going to be automated in my area, what is it that I have an edge which I can sustain through the industry? It will sustain my job as well, right?
And the thing is that when talking about the AI and all that, I always preach the same thing is that uh, 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 when we're talking about the perspective about AI will replace the uniformity of the task, but it cannot replace the creativity.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm
even it's a
saying.
SOC, architect, network security, and everything, all are
Correct.
basically part of the functions.
Yeah. But I would still say, Prabh, like, let's not say, like, never
Hmm.
say never, but even then, but your point is really, really valid.
Hmm.
Say, engineering or architecting a solution for somebody, uh, you know, given it to an AI, it might learn from the past hundred or thousands or millions of cases or architectural diagrams that you've created. It might learn through. I think
Hmm.
the curation for a particular company might still come from a human. Is what I say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? If you want to curate something for somebody, you can create.
Hmm.
You can create it can be applicable to, let's say, 80 out of 100 companies. So there will be
True.
this. Correct. So figure out that within your area and then prep accordingly. I would
Hmm.
say it might very well AI might very well, and it has done in the past as well. Create more jobs. Right?
Okay.
That's what happened with computers. People said, okay, there'll be no humans working, and then computers will take over all of these small tasks. But it created more jobs.
That's basically great. And Arun sir, like you as I said, you're part of the webinars and all that. What you covering in that webinar? Like what you do in a monthly two basis and all that. So is it not possible that any non-veterans can also join?
So by all means, I think it is possible. People
Hmm.
can join. I
Hmm.
think my focus is like these two webinars. One is on breaking into product management.
Hmm.
Is primarily for veterans who have done some product work in military.
Hmm.
They're close to doing a little bit
They
of
can
product
they
work.
can able to connect better.
Yeah, they're able to transition better.
Hmm.
By all means, there are people in civil doing amazing work in product management, and these webinars are
Hmm.
there out there. I think they're not curated for military veterans. Probably I'm trying to fill in that gap. The cybersecurity piece is wherein, and I think there's help everybody needs, even
Hmm.
when you are a CISSP, right? There are things that you want to know when you know the subject, but you don't know how to probably transition or explore things. I will cover that there. It is applicable to non-military veterans as well. Feel free to join. There's no embargo on that.
Hmm.
But like the value that you will derive out of it, probably I'm not really sure how much a non-military guy will derive value from that.
Okay. And is it possible? Can I share a LinkedIn profile in description box? So if anyone has any kind of a query, they can reach out to you.
Yeah, sure. I think the I will share that link with you, and then we can put that in there.
Thank you so much, sir. And I believe it is a great insight we got, and it's the first kind of a podcast I'm doing where we're talking about transition from the army or air force navy to the cyber, and I'm sure it will be a great podcast for the people who making the career in cyber. And is it okay? Can I disturb you again for the another podcast on CISO level?
By all means, I think I'll be more than happy to do that. I think on the closing comments itself, I would say I nobody is a rule book,
Hmm,
right?
hmm,
I am not
hmm.
a rule book, or somebody else writes a one pager newsletter. He's not a rule book. Whatever works for you should work, but then get perspectives, like you said, get perspectives from most people and form your own alignment. There
Hmm.
are things that can turn out well for you if you follow a particular rule book, but it may be different for different people. So be open, read through, explore, and that is why I said 1.5 to 2 years is enough for you to transition, because that is the time you will take to rinse and repeat, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward for the sessions on CISO part, which we have discussed in the past. And we will see how we can utilize that opportunity.
Yeah, sure. Good. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you for the time. And this is all from our side team. And do let us know how do you find this podcast. And if you're new to the channel, do subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss our future videos on a similar topic. Good day. Bye.